Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown Podcast. And Boro have won 4 games in a row under Kim Hellberg and the second in the championship table, 7 points clear of third. And myself and Dana are here to discuss it. So we're going to start off then with the first game of the week against Charlton, where goals from Riley McGree and Morgan Whitaker helped Boro give all 3 points, and it was a wonderful performance. We will actually ignore the wonderful own goal from George Edmondson, but it was a cracker. Dana, how would you assess the game against Charlton?
Ooh, Johnny Bullock, what a football team we are watching right now. Honestly, that first half, I was watching it and everything that came out of my mouth was so complimentary of the way that we were playing. I was just popping it around them like they're training dummies, Charlton. I looked on their forum after the game and one person said, "Do Boro have 3 more players than us?" That was exactly how we were playing. It was like we had several men advantage in that game because it was honestly just complete possession dominance, but also the connectivity between the players is just, I'm mesmerised by it, to be fair. Like the passing, the movement, the runs, the final ball, it was all there against Charlton. Immediately, we didn't even take our time to get into the game. It was just straight away going for it. And it's not gung-ho. This isn't chaos football. It's very controlled. And I really appreciate that because I think oftentimes when you talk about attacking football, you can maybe get it mixed up with chaos and basketball. And to be fair, they gave a good go at it the first 15 minutes or so, Charlton, but then I just don't think they could get anywhere near us. It was very much a case of if you try to press us centrally, we'll hit you out wide. And if you try to press on the fullbacks, you've got Alex Gilbert, Hayden Hackney, Riley McGree, Morgan Whitaker, Delano Bergzorg, Tommy Conway. There's options there centrally that can hurt you. And I will say on Bergzorg, he obviously supplied McGree for the first goal. I thought he showed exactly what he's good at against Charlton, pinning a player, spinning beyond him, using that physicality to win fouls, and used it to good effect. So credit to Bergzorg for that. Just, yeah, brilliant football. Much like Hull, I don't think Charlton really knew in the first half how to deal with us. And then second half, yeah, we tailed off a little bit. We'll get into it later on. But honestly, just unbelievable football, and really enjoying watching us right now. I think it's just fantastic.
And I agree with every single thing that you said there, to be honest. Dana, wow. We'll come on to the QPR game in just a moment, but the first half was excellent against Charlton. It really was. You set around Boro when Charlton pressed centrally, we go out wide. It was just very in and out as well in terms of possession. We looked to play through, then get it out wide, stretch a team out, and we've done that in 3 separate games now. And when you are defending in that 4-4-2 shape, like we'll come on to in just a moment, but playing really compact, it is difficult because when you are playing against a team that loves to stretch, it just creates so many little pockets of space for the likes of McGree, the likes of Whitaker to really turn a game on its head and get Boro playing, to be honest. And yeah, it's controlled chaos, I would say, yeah. And then and also as well, defensively, when we lose the possession, I really like how our fullbacks just tuck in, and it's just suffocation at that point. And I'm really pleased how it's going under Hellberg so far. I think it suits us to a T. We've played a possession-based style for 2.5 years under Carrick, and I think he deserves probably a lot of praise for getting us to play that way. And no, it's not been like it wasn't perfect, especially from January. But this team have been playing in central areas, really close-knitted football, and you can see that they've drilled it time and time and time and time again, and been really successful with it. So now it feels that like this plus the aggressive style of football, plus the freedom of how they want to play, plus the conceptual approach, it all ladders up into something quite wonderful, to be honest. And I was really pleased. I was really, really pleased in that first half. Riley McGree scoring as well. It was 2-2 for him. It's wonderful to see him back in, isn't it? And how influential is he in Boro's team at the moment?
Oh, he's so influential. I think Kim Hellberg's been quite complimentary of Riley McGree. He actually was complimentary of Tommy Conway in the build-up to the game, just saying that when Conway works it out wide and he picks up the ball in like a left flank position, it's players like Riley McGree that benefit from that. And McGree is, as I've said before, I feel like a broken record, but I'll never stop saying it. He's just a wonderfully gifted, intelligent footballer, and he can use those spaces and oftentimes make the right decision. It was a really calm, composed finish. Again, great work from Delano Bergzorg, and we really struck them through the middle. I thought we were very threatening out wide in the Charlton game because it was basically trying to shift them over to one side of the pitch and then spread the ball onto the opposing side where the opposing fullback would have just acres of space. It was we manipulated them. We manipulated Charlton, and McGree is somebody that can also manipulate an opposition because of his movement, the spaces that he picks up, and what he does when he's in those spaces as well. He threaded a lovely ball through. It was so casual and confident, just this wonderful ball over to Bangura, I think it might have been, just slipped him inside, and that's the type of quality that I expect from Riley McGree. And yeah, it was a well worked goal because as well, you've got I don't think I'm mixing the two goals up, but was that the one where Callum Britton won that 50-50 in the box? Or was that Whittaker's? That was Whittaker's goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, Whittaker. Yeah.
Yeah, Whittaker's goal. But yeah, I mean, brilliant football in that one, actually, because yeah, we won the ball with Callum Britton winning that 50-50. The Charlton fans were not happy with Campbell. They said he bottled it, and to be fair, he did. But then we sprung them in central areas. We got the ball forward quickly, which is something that Kim Hellberg has really wanted. He doesn't want slow football. We can be slow at times, but then we quicken the pace, and it's brilliant to see. So yeah, two really well worked goals, and yeah, just brilliant to watch us. This attack the whole team actually feels so weightless. It oftentimes felt so difficult, or watched so difficult, Boro trying to create a chance, and in this team it just feels they feel free, and like a massive weight is being lifted off their shoulders, and it's crazy actually the improvement that we've seen creatively and going forward in such a short space of time under Kim Hellberg, because just over 2 weeks, 16 days between when he took over and that Charlton game, and we even saw it against Hull, so technically it's less than 2 weeks, and we've found that click. It's just, I think it speaks to a lot of clarity and communication and buy-in from the players as well, so massive credit.
Yeah, I agree. I think the build-up change from Edwards to now, Edwards' teams, those defensive two or the midfield two would always sit so deep, and then the gap between the midfield to the forwards felt disconnected. The horseshoeing from build-up because teams would just sit in a really compact shape. And I didn't think that Edwards knew how to deal with it, and it was very a system problem, really. It was like the way that he wanted to build up. And I may do it a little bit later on where you have a question for you, but I'm not going to hugely slag Edwards off to some extent. But a lot of Boro's problems at that time were man-made, and his issue, like we forced that issue because of the way we were playing. This style and this setup, it brings the best out of a lot of the players that we already have available to us. I think playing Whittaker and McGree is those two who just sit in between the defence and the midfield, the opposition midfield and defence, is perfect because that's exactly where they want to be. And like I said to you on the pod before, if you play through Whittaker and you play through McGree, you're going to have a load of confidence and you'll probably get the best out of them by doing it. And then the same with Conway as well. Him moving out wide and staying towards that back post, it just simplifies his game and gets him in positions where he's going to be more effective. He's much better at pulling someone away and then being in the right place in that back post area to get the goal. And yes, there is a goal he scored that was offside, but part of me is just like rejoice, celebrate, and I feel like someone's listened, which no one's probably listened to the podcast from the club, but like I was just banging on about it for months, and I was like,
yeah,
he can't hold the ball up. So I think this system's really gets the most out of players, and I think seeing McGree and just that little bit of freedom, get him on the half turn, let him create opportunities. Sometimes he annoys me a little bit because he plays the ball behind the forward, or it might not be perfect, but that's just me being pathetic at this point. And just saying, I want more and more and more. I want perfection. But yeah,
Can we just
so
go back to?
Go on.
Can we just go back to that goal, because I've just rewatched it there. I've had a significant lack of sleep in the last few days. All I've been doing, honestly, is listening to ABBA. I have never listened to ABBA as much in my life as I have in the last 7 days. But the goal, I think Kim Hellberg will really like that, because we won the ball high up the pitch in central areas, and we turned that moment into a very quick counter, and we scored from it. So it's that high press. And you know what? The former manager was talking about high press. I don't really think that we saw it so much, really. And this is actually pressing high, being aggressive, the counter press. Whittaker tried to press and get the ball. He didn't quite get it, and then Britain did, and played in. He played in Bergsorg, and it was a really good move from Boro, to be fair. So I think Hellberg will really enjoy that goal, and so did I. It's brilliant, isn't it, to see those quick attacks brought about by high turnovers. It's brilliant to watch.
Yeah, and then just the second half, Charlton got into it a little bit. Dana made it a little bit more difficult. Admittedly, I thought this was going to be the Charlton that we were going to face in that first half before we blew them away. But second half, got a foothold in the game. Edmondson scored a lovely, lovely header. Really direct into the bottom corner. Shame it was in the wrong net. But how were they able to get back into it?
Well, I watched the game back, and I must admit I didn't clock what formation they were playing, and it was because they were going man for man. So that, to me, is a very dangerous tactic against Boro, because if you pull Hayden Hackney out of position, for example, then it opens up space for one of the two tens in Whittaker or McGree, who will work well with that space. So it's a very dangerous tactic when you don't get it right, and I think they just didn't get it right in that first half. They made 3 changes at half time. They replaced pretty much all of their midfield by Luke Berry. He was the only surviving midfielder, and a lot of Charlton fans were saying they played with more fight in the second half. So maybe it was just a case of the personnel that was brought on at half time was better than the players that came off at the interval. But I also think they got their press better in the second half. That's why I think we saw Boro lose the ball more. We saw Boro lose more duels, be a little bit more uncomfortable, because it was still man mark. I still didn't understand the formation that they were playing. And to be fair, the Charlton fans couldn't make it out either. That I was looking at their forums again, and it was like, oh, is it a 4-4-2? Is it a 3 at the back? They did actually switch to a back 3 in the first half, and then conceded whilst they had the wing backs. And it was just very confusing, I think, because of the man-marking system. We've implemented it ourselves, most notably Darnell Fisher against Norwich. It can really work, but when it doesn't, it opens up spaces elsewhere, and we've got so many good players that can really hurt you if you give them that space. And we did in the first half. So I think it was a case of they got their press wrong in the first half. They were much more effective within the second half. And also just Boro dropping off a little bit. It's said quite frequently in recent weeks, but I think it's quite valid, because the way that we play with the intensity in and out of possession, I don't think it can be a case of we play like that for full 90 minutes. Kim Hellberg said we're working on that, we're aiming towards that, but I don't expect it, and I certainly don't expect it straight away. So yeah, personnel switches making a difference. I think they got their press better in the second half, and it was in tandem also with Boro just dropping off a little bit in intensity levels.
Yeah, we've heard that quite a bit, haven't we? When on social media, that Boro, they're so good in that first half under Hellberg, and then the second half, it's dropped off a little bit. And I think there's so much to unpack there, to be honest, because in those first half, you've killed the game off against Hull, you've near enough killed the game off against Charlton. Against QPR, you've pretty much killed it off anyway. They always say 2-0's a dangerous scoreline, but it's never really the case. But you've done so much in that first half, and the intensity's there. It's a case of, for me, it's game management, maybe sitting off a little bit more. You don't have to go hell for leather to create more chances, because you've got a lot of goals. But also additionally as well, I think rhythm is probably going to be a word that we'll look to use quite a lot under Hellberg's era. Disrupting and I think that rhythm there has been really disrupted by the amount of subs that we wanted to do, stoppages. There's been so much around how we want to I don't know, like when players go off, like how is it going to change? There's quite a few things I think you can unpack from there, but also fatigue too. I think it's going to be the amount of running that we probably do in that first half versus the second half. I think, yeah, it's going to be a lot. But what do you think? Where do you think we're seeing like those contrasting halves at the moment?
Yeah, I think it probably is just there's been the highest point of buy-in from the players, and you can tell that because what I said there's been such a short turnaround in getting the players playing this way. I haven't seen Boro play with such zip and sharpness moving the ball and combinations. Third man runs, I love third man runs. A lot of the time, that's the antidote against the low block, by the way. Third man runs where you just quicken the tempo and it's a lot less predictable. So I think that you've got to have. I kind of watch Borough and I'm thinking, okay, these players are very locked in. Like they're very mentally in tune with this style of play. And I guess that's just a lot. It's physically tough and mentally tough as well. And so yeah, I think the high intensity levels probably just naturally drop in the second half. I did say to Clive from Loft for Words, I had him on the podcast for the opposition show, and I did a corresponding piece for their fan site. And just saying, maybe if you keep the score at 0-0 for as long as possible and ride your luck or defend well, your goalkeeper comes up big, and just stay in the game for as long as possible. Maybe in the second half, that's a vulnerability of ours because we have seen it drop off. And to be fair, against QPR, I don't think we did. It was probably 60 minutes of good play from us, so I don't think there was an immediate drop off in the second half anyway. But it's maybe just something to note, I would say, about the second half. But yeah, it is intriguing. It's probably too short a sample size for me to say anything other than it's probably just natural drop off of high intensity, and then we can't keep it up really.
Yeah, I think there's quality as well. Like, I think our first 11, our best 11 is really high quality. I think as we start to go through the squad a little bit, I just want to see a little bit more just in terms of like Delano Berg's. I think, yes, has qualities, but also has shortcomings. And I think sometimes the shortcomings can overweigh the positives. I think there's some parts of the game where I think, when we are making so many changes, we just aren't. I think that natural level's dropping a little bit, and I think the aim is how do you improve it a little bit more. I think Conway definitely has a valid play, a valid point in our team as well in terms of his press, but I think Kali Sen can do exactly the same thing. So I think it's not necessarily a bad thing. I just think Kali Sen needs more minutes. But yeah, I think just that drop off probably in quality is also a point to play. But yeah, it's so early to say. We've had a 3-game week. You're gonna have to try and conserve energy at some way or another. And you've got players who have just come back from injury as well, like McGree, Bangura, probably two key ones. So yeah, I think there's the number of issues. But go on.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, Kim Hellberg mentioned post-match after the QPR game that they were so wedded to playing the way that they were before the QPR changes that they just needed to adjust to the changes. And that was in the QPR game. And I remember after Hull, I said on here, I feel like it took Boro a little bit of time to adjust to Hull's changes because they made 2 at half time. I think it was. Charlton made 3. So maybe it's just a case of, okay, we're very good at the way that we play before the changes happen. Maybe we just take our time a little bit to adjust to the opposition, switching things around and whatnot. So it was interesting he said that because it's maybe something that can come up as a bit more of a vulnerability. But to be fair, give massive credit to us because we've given ourselves a good enough cushion in the first halves to be able to endure a little bit of a drop off in the second and still be okay. And I watch Borough and I don't feel unnerved really a lot of the time. So yeah, I don't feel like we're getting cut open or anything like that. I also feel like sometimes it's just the Borough fan in us where we're like, okay, this is probably not gonna remain the same all game and we're probably going to fall off at some point and lose 3-2. But, we got to trust this team a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's just the natural Boroughness, isn't it? The Borough they'll always bring up to knock you down, and I think that is just a very natural response for us, to be honest. How many games have we seen in a Borough where we've and maybe it's the character in us as well, where we just couldn't defend and we'd give up so many different chances, and people feeling nervous. But look,
Scarring.
yeah, 100%. And look, there was chances yesterday for QPR that could have done it, but there was a nice little moment for Charlton post game, wasn't there, D? A lot of Boro fans were very happy to see a certain someone at a station.
Yeah, this was so funny. I saw this on Twitter from Berto. He put on a picture of him, Kim Hellberg, and he said, "Can't believe we bumped into Kim Hellberg and the lads on the way home." Sorry, Tiddy, Patty and Selma over here. They were absolutely excellent. Poor Kim, though. Lad walked out of the box, and the first thing that came out of my mouth was, "All right, Kim, been for a shit." That was absolute quality, to be fair. I mean, that made me laugh when I saw it. Imagine that, you just Kim Hellberg, you come out the toilet and a Boro fan asks you if you've had a shit. I mean, it's so funny. It was brilliant. So yeah, shout out to Bill for that. It really made me laugh.
And also shout out to Patty and Selma as well for their impression. But to be fair, I was thinking more.
Honestly.
I was thinking more Blanche from Corrie, to be honest.
Oh, Blanche, yeah. Not a bit of Deirdre. You don't fancy a bit of Deirdre there, Johnny?
Well,
I'm not about to say Tracy in a voice. I have actually done that on the podcast before.
Yeah. Well, Deirdre's not my type, really, to be honest, Dana. But yeah, so but I'm not gonna do that, to be honest. Should we chat QPR? I feel like we have. I feel like this is going to be 20 minutes of just pure elation and happiness, and then after 45 minutes, yeah, we'll just start to tail it back a little bit because we've done all the hard ground, and just see the rest of the podcast out. But Boro made it 4 wins in a row. After a fantastic display, Tommy Conway scored his first goal since August. Boro now 7 points clear of third in the championship table. Right. Let's just say it. First half, Dana. Let's just discuss it because wow, just wow.
You know what? The funny thing about this is that I actually thought the Charlton first half was better, but it was still brilliant from Boro. Just complete dominance, really. Complete and utter control. Even when QPR went forward, I still felt like we had the game under control. So in and out of possession, Boro were just... they were so controlling of that game. And I think that speaks to a very good side. That even when you don't have the ball, it's under control. It's covered. We got it covered. And yeah, I think the reason why I prefer the Charlton game is that against Charlton, I do think that we probably just had a little bit more connectivity. Against QPR, I thought more of the performance during it than when I watched it back, but that's not to say that it wasn't good, because it still was. You know, the way that we, again, play around teams like they're not even there. And, you know, the QPR supporters in the away end must have just thought, how can our team actually get close to these lot? Because it's just, we're toying with them, really. Just complete dominance. You couldn't really touch us, to be fair. And again, just an absolute pleasure to watch, because we've seen Boro attack and perform like it's just like Rob Edwards was trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, but Kim Hellberg has come in and look at the players, look at the way that they're playing. Even me saying that like the Charlton first half was better, that's because a standard has been set, and it's been set very, very high. And I still enjoyed it, still absolutely loved it. And even my dad, I always ask my dad, like, oh, what do you think of the game? And that every time what comes out of his mouth, shite. Even when we've actually played reasonably well, that's his default. So the fact that my dad was loving that first half is just indicative of how good we were. And God, yeah, it's dreamy, I would say. Dreamy football. This is what I know that me and you are sort of similar in wanting good performances as well as results, and this is exactly what I've wanted to see, and it's brilliant.
Honestly, I tweeted, somehow got signal at the ground, but it was I was nearly brought to tears. I think it was that good, to be honest. I sat after that first half and just thought, one of the best halves of football I've seen in a long time. The Charlton one, yeah, I loved it, and I thought it was a really great performance. But I think being in there in the flesh and watching it, I was like, wow. It reminded me a little bit of the Hull game under Carrick, where we just scored 3 in 15, like 3 in 10 minutes. And the elation, how I felt coming off the ground after that. And I was like, that was just what it's all about, and that's what I love. Just the way we're building up, the way we're breaking teams down, the tenacity in and out of possession, and the way, like, tactically as well, how we just completely beat and build up was really brilliant. It was really solid. Playing through the thirds, really solid. How we were able to switch the play in terms of playing through, playing round, playing over. I said on a previous podcast that under Rob Edwards, there is three ways to play football. You play around a team, you play through a team, you play over a team. We couldn't do any under Rob Edwards. Now we're doing all three in one half, but it's all through build up. And I want to touch on probably three key moments of the half, really, and just talk around build up, because there was the Conway goal, which I really love, and you talk around build up, and Luke Ayling and Jonesy, your defensive too, but you always tend to see a Brown who will occupy the third spot, and that leaves the likes of Hayden Hackney free to play that 3-1 or the 4-2. So when the strikers come forward, you've got four players around them. It's like a diamond, so you can play around them really well. And Madsen in midfield couldn't believe it. It was like, come on, guys, please try and press someone, because no one knows what they're doing. But what's happening is that the fullbacks from Boro's side are pinning the wingers back, so they don't know when to press or not to press Hackney, because you've got McGree and you've also got Whitaker as well, pinning them as well. So they don't know when to press Hackney. Hackney's got a load of free space, and Boro building out and breaking that initial press. And when they do that as well, you see in this phase for the Conway chance, Boro do get the ball. Brown plays it through to Target, and then Target, the way we were able to actually break through the press, and you could see that ball from in that first half where you would see that ball would play through the third, and everyone would be like, wow, how we got through that press again? But that's why, because we were seeing our fullbacks just occupy where the wingers are, and then I could play it through to McGree. But also for this as well, what I love about the Conway offside goal is Callum Britton is completely unmarked for the entirety of it, because QPR want to be really compact, and this is where your wing backs really come in handy, because they're really pushing high and wide. But Tiger gets that ball, he plays it through to McGree. McGree frustratingly turns out, which I think if he controls it a little bit better, I think when you watch it back, his right touch is a bit too heavy. It takes it away from his left foot, so then he has to turn out to hook himself back round again. But if he does get it right, you have Callum Britton absolutely free at the back post to go and slot it in the bottom corner. But he doesn't. We still play through it, recycle it. Britton still holds his run. McGree finds the space. He plays it across to Britton, and Britton lays it across to Conway. Back post, like I've said for ages, but he is offside. But it was brilliant. Boro using that 4v2, building up again, so it's like nice to play through it again. But then in terms about the patterns of play, and this is where the principles of play come into. It doesn't matter who occupies that centre-back role or that role in that 3-1. So when Boro get it again, Hayden Hackney's occupied it in the second half. You see Riley McGree come into that position where Hackney's occupying as well. That 4v2, that nice little diamond shape that Corney and Burrell can't or don't know when to press or when not to go. It's the space between the midfield and the forwards where Boro occupy it really well. And then there's a nice little bit where you see the 3-4 or 3-1 where the wing backs really high, and then Boro start to play again. Boro get the ball out wide, and I just wanted to quickly show the shape as well, because that 3-1-4-2 is a system and what Boro are currently playing at the moment. And then as well, what I love about this system as well is just when we are in possession, when we get the ball out wide, when you've got these two central players behind the forwards, you naturally have about 4 or 5 players in the box. And I think under Edwards, we had one or 3 people, so it was every cross was going nowhere. Now we've got 4, 5, 6 players in a really good position. So when the ball does come in, you've got it. But I just want to quickly talk about that importance of that defensive midfield role, what Hackney's occupying, that 3-1. Because I think that's probably the most influential position in Boro's system, to be honest, because when you see Brown or you see Gilbert or you see Morris, whoever plays that centre-back role, or Hackney plays that role, it occupies a space where that position midfield don't know when to press. And when you do get through that, you've got a load of space, and Hayden Hackney driving the ball forward, bringing out his max strength, Boro playing through, and it's fantastic to watch. But what I will say is that I do expect teams now to sit really compact and play moving to a 4-2-3-1 shape, just so you stop that Hackney getting the ball as much, and then Boro start to horseshoe, where they'll play it out wide to the wing backs or the full backs, however you want to call it, and then Boro have to start to work the way back around again, and that 4-2-3 might just be a difficult bit. But overall, the 1 in the 3-1 is really pivotal. The way that we were creating what's the word? Numerical. That's one. Couldn't get the word out. Numerical overloads in that 4-2. The 4 behind the midfield, the defense, amazing because you're playing on the half turn, and you're getting people running behind the goal. And then also, I want to quickly just chat about the Strelic goal as well, because I will say he is offside. He is offside by this.
I thought it at the time. I was like, if that was Conway, right, that would have been flagged instantly.
Oh, 100%. I'm just going to quickly show you. He is marginally offside. Marginally. If it was VAR, it would probably been given offside. I tried to give Strelic the benefit of the doubt every time, but he's still a little bit offside. But the goal as well. Skin-fade Dave. I'll come to him in a second. But it's like, again, it's just the build-up is so good. It's 4v2 every time. Boro play through the press. Hackney gets on the ball. He's in the middle of 6 QPR players. No one knows when to press Hackney, so he's got all the time and space, and Hackney doesn't need all that time. He plays it through, and Strelic puts in the back of the net. But it's amazing. It's amazing how much space and time that Hackney's got, and he's finding himself in that position to really break teams down. I'm so impressed. I'm really impressed by how Boro are playing at the moment. I think just the way we're building up, the way that we're creating that advantage from build-up, the way that McGree and Whitaker are occupying the space between the defenders and the midfield, just in that little half space, a little pocket. I think it just all works together. And it's all controlled, and it's all designed to do these things. And that's what makes it impressive. But I will say the players themselves should be really applauded and be like, this is fantastic, because everyone knows where to be. Everyone knows what position to do. No one has to stay in a certain position like we've seen under Edwards, and has to be built up in a certain way. It's so fluid. It's so liquid. It's phenomenal. I love it. But yeah, I know I went on a bit of a rampage there for 10 minutes.
I loved it.
But round over through all 3 of it, unreal. So yeah.
No, I love that. I love that breakdown, because I think it just shows the flexibility and the adaptability, because we've seen different structures almost to create chances. And yeah, we obviously saw the 3 yesterday, and then it wouldn't be a case of the midfielder going between the centre backs, but rather, kind of beside the centre backs. So it was, it's just brilliant to kind of see that depicted in the way that you've showed it. And I love it. I actually think, going back to what I said, that at times our connectivity wasn't quite there. There was a moment where I think somebody tried to play Callum Britton down the line. It was just there was too much on it. Callum Britton himself spooned across out of play, and Morgan Whitaker himself spooned across out of play. So at times I think our connectivity wasn't quite there, and I think QPR are very lucky, because even with that, we still got through. We still broke their press. We still got into dangerous areas. If we just had that little bit more in terms of final ball and end product, I think we would have put them to the sword. I think 3-1... I think they're lucky that it was 3-1, to be fair, because we absolutely dominated them, and we manipulated them. This is what we do with teams: we control them and we manipulate them, and then we leave them spinning dizzy because they don't know what they're to do. They don't know how to deal with us, because it's like, okay, if you try and deal with Hackney, who I think is the team's best player, then you've got a Gilbert or a Brown, who was excellent yesterday, by the way. Alan Brown, honestly, I thought it was harsh. Not harsh, but I was disappointed that Alex Gilbert got dropped. But Alan Brown, every time he comes into the team, he is fantastic. He's just been a really, really, really good signing. So he was brilliant. And then if you try to mark the two of them, you've got McGree and you've got Whittaker, who's in fine form. What is it, 5-5 now for him, or 6-6? I can't remember what it is.
6-6. No,
6-6. Unbelievable. Like that, and then you've got Strelic, and then you've got Conway. It's like, if you're an opposition player, you've got to deal with them two, them two, them two, the fullbacks. It's such a good team in terms of attacking and also defensively. Again, like, I don't feel unnerved watching us. Like, we do give away the ball sometimes, and we get counted on, but I feel like we deal with it. And I'm yet to really see a vulnerability of Kim Hellberg's Middlesbrough be taken advantage of. And I guess we'll see that with due time, but I can wait for that, because I'm absolutely enjoying what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, and I would say probably the biggest difference as well from like Edwards' Boro to Hellberg's Boro, I mean, apart from the quality of breaking teams down, but just in terms of build-up, under Edwards, it was a 3-2, and the midfield two was so deep, you could allow the midfield two of the opposition to press the likes of Hackney or Morris or Brown. And it was really easy to control, because then you're able to pull the opposition wingers would press the fullbacks, and then Boro would just end up horseshoeing. I think to pull the likes of Brown or Morris into that defensive role, it stops teams from pressing you, because they don't. Because if you were to do that now with the midfield two from the opposition, they will look to press Brown. You create so much space for McGree or or for Whittaker to manipulate and to break the lines. So now it's just really good manipulation play. And teams just don't know how to press it right now. But I think you will start to see that 4-2-3-1 maybe come into it, maybe start to sit a little bit deeper, not go to be aggressive against us. But yeah, that's a big difference from build up. But then also as well, now that we've taken one player out of that build up in terms of the setup, the initial setup, and you put us another centre forward there, you've got another number 9 there, who again can pin the defence, make things difficult, make things make the opposition team have another decision to make. So yeah, I love the build up and how it manipulates teams. I think it allows the likes of Hackney to control a game, and also it's just creates a lot of freedom for McGree and Whittaker. But I just love it. I honestly, I really love it. I think it is so simple, but done incredibly well to manipulate a team. But don't you think
just
they would?
Peak efficiency, and massive credit to Kim Hellberg, because he was asked by Rob Law in the build-up to the game about playing that 4-2-2-2 that we saw against Hull, and he's never played that before in his managerial career, Kim Hellberg. But he saw the players that we've got. He said that we've got a lot of good central players. We don't have 1v1 threats, which is something that has been very obvious to us, hasn't it, on the podcast, that we don't have somebody that can just take their man on and get beyond the fullback and get into the space just on his own. We got players that are good combination players, and he's really honed in on that, Hellberg. He said about just getting them to those numerical advantages that we see, where it's 3v2 or 3v3 in areas, and we can just manipulate the opposition to come out and press us, and then we can hit them in the space that they've left, that they've vacated. He was saying about the fullbacks against Hull, because they played a back four, he made bangs and Brits, as he called them, which is a fantastic way of calling them, I think. Good little duo name, like Bill and Ben the Flower Pot Men. But yeah, bangs and Brits. But he said that he had them positioned quite wide to counter that. And against Charlton, a part of the game, they played with the wing backs and they went man for man. So he narrowed them and he tried to manipulate the way that they pressed us. And so that's really good. And you talked about he's very good with his tactical. I think he really enjoys going at the game and the questions where you can just really let that inner nerd out and the tactical side of the game. But he was saying that Gilbert and Hackney can take up different positions where you can have them a little bit lower to just sit on their strikers, basically, and manipulate their press. And you can get Hackney between the striker and the 10. And it honestly, it's so good listening to him. really, really fascinating listening to him. He should definitely come on the Boro Breakdown podcast, Kim Hellberg, if you are listening. And yeah, just more of it, because it's adaptability, it's seeing what the players can do and really harnessing that, and just finding ways to win and win well and win pretty and be effective. And yeah, I'm loving it at the moment. Long may this continue.
Yeah, great coaching too. Getting the best of what you've got, and not just being tied to a certain way of playing or try to shoehorn people into certain ways of playing. Getting the best out of what you've got, and that's what great coaching is all about. And speaking of great coaching, Hellberg alluded to it as well, but Tommy Conway has had a really difficult run of late, hasn't been hitting the back of the net. Even yesterday, it felt like the chances that will come into him is offside one. It was like, this might not be for him, but then he did score the penalty. Meant a lot to him. But how important is Conway to this team? Did you think that he is just so pivotal in how we play, or do you think that he's someone that can be replaced? But I think yesterday was like a really good moment for him, wasn't it?
It was. I was absolutely delighted for him. I think he's a very important player to this team. I've always maintained that Boro are better with Tommy Conway in it. Something that's been used as almost a criticism of him is that, he just runs around a lot. But actually, him running around a lot is a very important part of this team in particular, because he just, I don't know, he's the type of player that defends well from the front, and especially when you do actually want to implement a high press and you're not just saying that, Rob Edwards, to appease the fans. It's brilliant that you've got somebody that can really start that in Tommy Conway. And I think that he's very good in terms of making room for his teammates as well. He's a very selfless striker. He's a very good team worker, and that is fantastic, to have him in the team. It's obviously been a massive struggle for him in front of goal, and my God, I was saying at half time, he must have really pissed the football gods off, because first half when he went through and he took the ball past Paul Nardi, and I was just begging for their defending Benguir to not get to the ball. And to be fair to him, he does get to the ball, and it's a good challenge. I was just hoping that Conway would tap into the back of the net, because I think everybody in the stadium just was willing him to score. When the ball came through from Britain, I think it was, and it went through his legs, that I was just like, wow, yeah, Conway's just walked under a ladder, hasn't he? He's stepped on several cracks. But the goal itself, just brilliant. And I do think his general play was really good, because in terms of those combinations, working the ball really well into space and getting his teammates into better positions, just, again, really selfless and just a team player. So his general play was better, I think. And the goal was always going to come in this team, wasn't it? Penalty.
Yeah.
Brilliant for him to have converted that, especially after his penalty struggles last season. He said after the game he's been working a lot with the keepers at Boro to try to improve his penalties after missing 2 last season, 2 pretty big ones as well. So yeah, brilliant moment for him, and hopefully this is just a massive weight lifted off him now, and he can go on a run similar to what we've seen from Morgan Whittaker. Again, can we just talk about Sol Bryn's pass for Whittaker? Oh
Gorgeous,
my
wasn't it?
God. Really good. We've said this on this podcast about his distribution and how good it can be. And there's the kind of example of that. What is Reece Norrington-Davies doing showing Morgan Whittaker onto his left foot? I've never rated Reece Norrington-Davies. I feel like he's like, at Sheffield United, he was a bit of a liability. So I don't know why QPR have brought him in, to be fair. But anyway, you just knew exactly what he was going to do there, Morgan Whittaker, and he just perfectly places it in at the corner, and everyone ran over to Sol Bryn, which Kim Hellberg said after the game was the picture of the match. Brilliant pass, and they all went to him to celebrate. So that was probably moment of the game, along with Tommy Conway's penalty.
Yeah, love that photo. I would love to. I feel like I've not seen it again. I feel like I need to see more photos. I've just seen the Bryn bit, and I've seen everyone together. But I just want to see everyone all running into a moment. But also, shout out to the referee there, by the way, because he stopped Strelic. I think it's Strelic. Yeah, he stops him, because if Strelic actually runs into our own half, QPR could have kicked off. So
You can
shout out to
see
the
them. You can
referee
see him
there.
agree, and Jones were like, "Stay there, stay
Yeah,
there, skin fade Dave. Like, don't move." Yeah, I clocked them immediately going to Saul Brennan, and they should have. And
rightly so.
Morgan Whitaker did as well. It was an unbelievable bit of goalkeeper distribution, an assist for Saul
Yeah,
Brennan. Yeah, get that in your
assist for
fantasy
Bryn.
championship teams.
Yeah, and honestly, I said a few weeks ago around Bryn's distribution, is it going to be good enough? And he has definitely said, yes, it is going to be good enough. So I will now get back in my little matchbox because I'm very small, and I will disappear into the darkness again. But
Matchbox.
I do think Noah Conway, yeah, I agree. Really good presser, can't hold the ball up as much as you want him to be. And just sticking towards the back post for me, that is enough for Tommy Conway. That will get the best out of him. And yeah, he's a really good pressing forward. And I think that is all well and good. And hopefully he goes on to a great run as well. But then just to round off the QPR game, Michael Hamilton came on his first couple of minutes of the season, really. Hellberg got asked it during the week around Mike Hamilton, will he stay in January? And he very quickly shut it down and said, yes, I would like him to stick about. Now, we've heard managers say this before, and it's probably not best to say, yes, I want to send him out on loan. That's not great for any motivation. But can you see Hamilton maybe come into the team a little bit? Because if people didn't know, he had a really bad injury before he came to Middlesbrough, which set him back a little bit. I looked at him yesterday and I thought, you're looking very lean. You're looking fit. You're looking like a player who's working hard off the pitch. But can you see him maybe get some more minutes now under Hellberg? Or do you think he's going to maybe go out on loan in January?
No, I can't really see him getting many minutes. I think he probably should go out on loan in January. It's good that Hellberg essentially said, like, don't give up on him. I think that's
I
a
agree.
very
Yeah.
important message to state. He's a young player and he deserves time. He deserves playing time as well. That's me saying that because he just hasn't had any. He went to Stockport last season and didn't really get a look in. It was the post Louis Barry Stockport County, and I guess it was always big shoes to fill or boots to fill, but he just didn't really get many minutes, did he? And I think he deserves that. He deserves to show what he can do. I just don't really see it happening in this Boro team, unfortunately. So yeah, if he can get out on loan in January, that would be really good.
Yeah, just needs minutes, doesn't he? But yeah, look, he's a good talent. And I'll always vouch for that. Just sometimes things can take a little bit more time, but also he's only really played with City, only played a certain way. So you've got to unlearn quite a lot because the way that Man City build from maybe like the under nines onwards, it's a very particular style. And you've seen it with the likes of Jack Grealish as well. Just need a bit of time, need a bit of space, and sometimes not always the best way of getting talent out there. But even again, Morgan Rogers. No, I know you said that last time. Morgan Rogers, again, an incredible talent, someone who can really drive a team forward. Might not be best suited to Pep style, but was really suited to say like an Emery or Carrick or someone else's style. So it just takes a little bit of time to unlearn, relearn, and maybe get better. And I think there is a lot of talent there. But let's see how it gets on. But let's move on. It's over 45 minutes now, so let's bring this podcast home in the second half and go to podcast questions. Yes, podcast questions. Every week you get the chance to ask us a question. You can email us at theborobreakdown@hotmail.com. You can tweet us at @Boro_breakdown. You can follow us on Instagram, on Facebook, or do whatever you want, and we will find a way to answer your question. But also a big shout out to you watching, because we're on over 4,000 subscribers now on the Boro Breakdown channel. Now, I will always go for more because I know there is more of you subscribed audio-wise. So if you haven't subscribed, you listen audio and you want to go on YouTube, do it, because I've done some visual stuff. Right, but first question, it's from Jack, and he asks, so 7 points clear, 21 games in. Is automatics now the aim? And he put in brackets, yes, of course it is. Is automatics the aim now, D?
Oh, I'm reticent to say that because, well, all I've been used to
Long way
with
to
the
go.
Boris disappointment. Yeah, it is. I've seen many a season collapse in January, so let's see caution. I think To be fair, I was on Benjamin Bloom's channel on Thursday, and he was just asking me about the state of the championship and how I see it, and how I see Boro's prospects. And when I told him that I'm happy with playoffs, his reaction made me think, oh, should I not be? Should I be looking above rather than below? But I'm still going to be cautious. I think I'll be cautiously optimistic until January or the end of January. If by the end of that month we are still in a really healthy position and we should be looking up, that is when I'll drop the caution and I'll be optimistic and say that we're going up. But until then, I'm gonna, the Borough fan in my core that has just been delivered disappointment time and time again is just putting the brakes on. But hopefully the brakes will be off, the shackles will be off, and I'll be on the Dickens roof come, let's say, March, who knows. But it's positive for sure. It really is, and I can't stress that enough. I've been burnt in the past, and I just want to wait and see until the end of January, I think.
Yeah, eating a burger and singing One Direction, Dickens, like Adam Forshaw.
Yes.
Great video. But yeah, I'm same as you. I'm a lot more confident now than what I was a few weeks ago, because of the change of management. But yeah, let's see where we are coming into January, because I've been burnt so many times by this team. I just don't want to say if something's going to be good or not. But next question's from Phil, and they say, is it physically possible to play liquid football for 90 minutes? I think you've got to build to it. But yeah, there is a chance. Yeah. But I would like to see what this team is like if it's 0-0 for longer periods and we haven't killed a game off in the first half. Too. But I would rather we kill a game off in the first half and then play a much slower second half. To be honest, I'd prefer that every time. But yeah, would love to see it 90 minutes full throttle, win 20 million nil, and just and go from just a goal every 0.01 of a second. The next question is from Ellen, and they ask, is January is coming, we need to sell or loan to have room in our squad. Who goes to make that space? Now, a couple of weeks ago, you would have probably said Elijah Gilbert, Michael Hamilton, Bangura.
Morgan Whitaker. I just said Morgan Whitaker. Yeah. Crazy how time changes things.
Yeah, well, gas mark 16, it's coming back. That's a very niche Boro Breakdown Easter egg gem that from Marcus Tavernier from 5 years ago. But yeah, is there any players that you're looking at and going, maybe they just need a bit of game time elsewhere, and who goes really?
Seny Dieng. I think offload Seny Dieng. Maybe look to offload George Edmondson. Lucas Engel's coming back. Probably move him on because I don't really see. He's played as a left-sided centre-back for NC Cincinnati quite frequently. And I don't see him being attacking enough to play left-back. And plus you've got Bangura and Target there, who... Target has been solid, if not spectacular, but I did love the way that he used that left foot of his against QPR. The switches were brilliant. The cross of there was one over to Callum Britton, so fullback to fullback, and it was just delightful. Some of the passes that he played, long passes as well, were fantastic. So I'd say mostly he's been solid, if not spectacular. Bangura has been spectacular, I think, since he's come back into the team, owing a lot to his injury issues that preceded this. So I don't think Engel gets in there at left back. Now at left-sided centre back, you've got Adilson Malanda coming in. So I just offload Lucas Engel, loan out Micah Hamilton, look to offload Delano Bergsorg, I would say, and maybe Kante. Not offload Kante, sorry, loan him out. We haven't really seen much of Alpha Kante. I think he did have an injury, didn't he? I don't know if he's still recovering from that or whether he's... I don't know if he probably is still recovering from that. But if not, maybe loan him out, look to get him some minutes, because I don't really see him fitting into the midfield either. But you never know. They would be the players that I'd maybe look to move on or loan out.
I will add, I think Darrell Lenihan's sadly may have to be deregistered, sadly.
Isn't he out of contract in the summer, though? That would be
He's out of contract in the summer.
Very harsh.
The injuries that he's had, I don't know. I don't know the situation, what he's in, but it's a difficult one. It's different.
Yeah.
Hey, football's a horrible game. I think Delano Bergzorg, I would look to maybe ship. I'm sorry. And yeah, I'm with you a little bit on Kante, see what we could do there. Probably don't want to risk Edmondson if you're going to deregister Lenihan. Dieng, I agree with. I think there's probably about four players you can look at and go, yeah, let's get rid, let's bring in. But Hellberg will have an idea of who he wants to bring in because this team can still get better. You still need to keep raising that floor, and you want to keep building. But Boro are an interesting place right now. If they do get promoted, are those players going to be good enough for the step up to the Premier League? So it's a nice problem to have. Nice problem to have, but you keep building. And the final question is from Jam, and they go, Jonny pied Edwards as Kool-Aid, and rightly so. But is he indulging in Hellberg's? Yes, I did. I did pie the Kool-Aid from Edwards. I was very reluctant
You were
to
not
say it.
buying it. You were lucky you weren't on the podcast whilst we were winning, because I think I can say it now. Jonny weren't buying the Edwards ball at all.
No, I was very negative in our group chat, wasn't I?
Yeah.
But like, I think with Edwards, I did say before he joined and before we even got Carrick, I said, look, I'd love to see Carrick and Edwards, just to see how they go. Because a few years ago, Edwards was known as a development coach, had a different style. He has evolved since. And I was like, yeah, okay, at least I get to compare him now. Be interested to see how it goes. Very quickly, I think it was after the first couple of games, I was like, I'm not keen on this.
Mm-hmm.
And why was I not keen? Why was I not sold on it? I could see a lot of flaws in the system, and now like I'm not going to sit here and sit on my high horse and be like, yeah, I told you, I knew everything was going to work out and he was going to go. I just wasn't confident in how we created chances. He took a really net positive side who were creating chances to a really negative one. I said on a tweet that Edwards would make us more well-rounded, but we would regress technically. We did that, but we became so well-rounded, we became a circle and lost our sharp edge going forward. And it infuriated me. And I think like I love to be entertained. I love to be entertained as a fan, and I maybe quote Benjamin Bloom, maybe a hipster. You know, I like my little build-ups. I like my goal kicks. I like to watch a game, and I like to watch shape, and I like to watch without the ball. But that's just how I've always watched, especially over the last few years. I've started to do more coaching stuff, more analysis work. I've started to uncover the game in a different light. There's a book called How to Watch Football by
I've got it.
What was it by? Oh my
I've got
god,
it.
former manager.
Ruud Hillock.
That's one. Yeah, that's one. It was in my brain. But yeah, one of my favorite books to watch, and it's all about like the 3 stages of football, and like how things
Don't
can
think you
happen
watch a
before.
book, mate.
Read it. You know what I mean. I can't read anyway. I'm absolutely dyslexic ass of mine. But yeah, I just couldn't subscribe to the Edwards narrative. I work in an industry outside of football where it's heavily relied on influence. So I knew what he was trying to do. I couldn't subscribe to that. Couldn't subscribe to the going forward stuff. He did do some good things, but also equally, I just thought we were going to drop and drop and drop. The data seen that as well, and it felt like Boro were playing with a handbrake on. I even said on Untitled, you'll come to me in a few weeks. Boro will be not creating chances, and everyone's like, why are Boro playing with a handbrake on? But with Hellberg, I'm all in. I've seen enough. I've watched 4 games. I am not just drinking the Kool-Aid, I'm bathing in the Kool-Aid. If the Kool-Aid was in a ditch, I'd be bathing in the street. You know, I'm living, breathing, drinking all sorts of the Kool-Aid. To be honest, I think it's wonderful football. Really enjoying it at the moment. There's going to be some really difficult moments coming because we're going to have to solve different problems. But I feel a lot more confident now than what I did a few weeks ago. And also, as I rounded off, the hate watch, pardon my French, is fucking fantastic. seeing Edwards lose every single game is phenomenal, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Honestly, some Boro fans will say, "Oh, just get over it." Nah, I am going to watch Rob Edwards for the rest of the season. If Rob Edwards has no haters, I am dead, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still don't like Chris Wilder for what he did in 2022 or whatever year that was. My dad still hates Sean Dyche for a comment he made about the 1997 game against Chesterfield. Yeah, I still don't like Rudy Stead for missing that chance against Swansea. I still don't like Ryan Manning for crocking Anthony Dijksteel. Like, I am bitter and I will hold a grudge. So, yeah, don't expect me to end my hate of Rob Edwards anytime soon. I'll be there with popcorn. But I'm not tweeting anything because I'm sick of the Colonel freaks from Wolves being in my mentions. I unpadlocked my Twitter account the other day within a minute. Not even that. A Wolves fan was in my mentions, obsessed why your bird goes on the Wolves forums at 2:40 in the morning. I'm like, and it's not about you. It's about Edwards. And I will be on the forums. Hate browsing, hate watching. I'm all in, mate. I'm all in for the rest of the season, and then I'll probably get over it with due time, maybe.
Yeah, 100%. But yes, to answer the question, I am drinking not the Rob Edwards Kool-Aid, absolutely not. Putting that right out. The Kim Hellberg Kool-Aid, 100%. I'm all in. I really am. I'm just so pleased. I can't describe like how happy I've been. The last 4 games, I just feel like there's been a weight lifted from the club, and the players love it, the fans love it, the owners probably love it, the manager's loving it, they're connected. Everyone.
Sorry. Did you see that video I sent in the group chat? It was of Neil Bowser. Somebody next to him just gave him some gummy worms, and he ate one of them. I just thought it was really funny. Man eats gummy worm, but yeah, he's indulging in gummy worms whilst watching glorious football. Hey, we're all Neil Bowser.
Neil Bowser eating gummy worms. You know what I mean? Everything's going Sizzler. We can't be stopped at this point. Lose the next 5. But speaking of bogey teams and losing games, we play Bristol City next day. We do have an opposition show hopefully coming out this week, pending obviously getting someone on. But what do you think? What's your predictions?
A bit nervous because it's Bristol City, and I think that we don't really have a great record there. Last time we won at Ashton Gate was in 2020, and I don't even think fans were in the stadium to see that because it was mid-COVID. So I'm a little bit at this one. I don't think we'll win, but I think we'll get a good, well-earned point. It'll probably be one of those back-and-forth games where we think we've got it. Bristol City will come back and probably humble us a little bit. So I think 2-2 I'm going to go for in that game. You know what? I'll take it. A 2-2 at Ashton Gate against Bristol City is about as good as a win, I think. But we go in there with confidence, I suppose.
They're a fun team to watch this year. I don't know if anyone's watched this group as Bristol City, but they're like a little bit of basketball. They're a very, expansive side. They create plenty of chances, and I like it. I think it'll be I hope it's going to be a fun game to watch. I really do. I think it's 2 good footballing sides. But yeah, I think I'll go with you, D. I'll go over Desmond. I'll go 2-2. I think it should be a fun game to watch. Who knows? We might win 3 or 4-1 and do it in the first half. We've always done. But D, we've been going for an hour and a bit now. We've yapped all the way through. And like Middlesbrough, we're going to tail it off now and just see it the rest out of our afternoon. So, but guys, thank you very much for listening to us and watching the Boro Breakdown. Thanks again for helping us get to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. We can still go higher. We can still do more. And I'm thanking you for doing it, for helping us get to there. But we have got more people subscribed elsewhere who can still subscribe to us here. I'm just doing it for my own vanity at this point. But guys, thank you very much as always. This has been the Boro Breakdown Podcast, and that was our Boro Matchday Chatter in a pod. Up the Boro.